Hi, it's Melissa. I'm here to show you an updated version of my scrapbook room. I know I promised in the past to do an update. It's been 3 years. I'm sorry, but here we go. I've made a lot of changes to the room. Some things are still the same. And if you'd like to see those things, you can go ahead and look at that in my previous videos. So let's get started. I'm going to do a slow panoramic of the room so you can see what it looks like now. Start with the right side and kind of panorama around. And there you go. As you can see, the biggest change is that my room is now red. It used to be beige and now it's red. And then we used to have carpet on the floors and we've since installed laminate flooring. It's been awesome. So those are the big visual changes to the room. I apologize for the crappy camera. I'm using my phone video cam on this one. So the last time I did a video, I had just made this wall shelf here. And I've done some changes as far as things that I have on it. These button jars, I replaced the baby food jars that I had with these cute spice jars from IKEA. I really love them. I think they're really cute and they hold quite a bit, but yet they look great on the shelf. So I've put up these glitter jars that's full of fun and glitter. Also, these small jars right in front of the glitter, these are called Twinkling H2Os. They're a watercolor that shimmers. They're really fun to use. I really enjoyed playing around with these. So the last time I did a video, I had showed how I stored my paint in these cute clear plastic containers on the shelves. I really like the way that they look. Somebody had asked me if they dried out quicker, and the answer is that yes, they do dry out quicker. They don't get as gummy, but they do dry out a little faster. But also I discovered that when they do dry out, you're screwed. You can't clean out the paint. You have to get new jars and plastic containers. So I've decided to nix the idea. Once they go old, I'm just scrapping them and I'll just use the containers that the paint came in. I think I'm going to do some cute little labels on the regular containers. I still have my stickles on the Velcro, but I have moved them over in this area. The change I made with the Velcro is I got strips of Velcro to put on the back of the wall and then just the small individual Velcro circles that I put on the jars. They seem to stick a lot better with the strips than they do with the individual circles. Those tended to fall off. So the computer is still over here on the countertop, but I do plan to move it over here. See that space there? That was originally meant to be for my chair to go. I originally was going to scrapbook on the countertop before I decided to put the island in, but it just makes sense to move the computer over there so I can have the chair in that space. I just need to figure out as far as drilling holes and stuff and how it's going to look on top. So that'll be a project coming up sometime in the future. You'll see a major change in here, and this is this rod that holds these little clips on it with all my little embellishments on them. I found that this really helps me to use the embellishments. I've used a lot of them a lot more by having this system here. I have a lot of older stuff that I wasn't using before, and just having it out, the cluttery look I don't like, but it works as far as using up my stuff. This rod I just got from Lowe's. I spray painted it with some old silver paint that I had. And then these little clips came from IKEA. So I originally had a curtain wire rod that these clips went on. It's a kit from IKEA. But I've since, I use it up there for the valance. You can kind of see the wire up there. That's what it actually is. I did originally have the wire here instead of this rod, but I found that it sagged way too much in the middle. So that's when I went to Lowe's, found this little rod and put it on these little hooks. So I have my cutting tools on the pegboard. I still have the pegboard in the back of the countertop. I use it for the cutting tools and some different sticker type embellishments, flatter type stuff that I hang back there. And then as you can see over here, I have my printer and then Next to that, there's my OttLite right there. I got that at Michael's last year for 15 bucks at Christmas time. I think it was normally like 40 to 60 depending, just for that little thing. I love it. It works really great. So over here on the countertop, I have my Bosscut Gazelle. It's a great machine. I used to have it in the other room, but it became Mac compatible. I found some software for it, so I moved it in here. It's been great to have it right here at my fingertips. I use it a lot. Although I sold it, but I'm getting a new one. This other machine, that's my little Cricut Create. If you remember from the past, I had a white one. Well, that one conked out on me. This one I got for 26 bucks on eBay, including shipping. Here's my little Cuddle Bug. As you can see, I like to have all my tools at my fingertips. It just makes it so much easier to create. So this is how I'm now storing my cardstock. I used to have them in the vertical Cropper Hopper paper storage and didn't care for the look so much, so I got these at Hobby Lobby. I really like the way that they look. However, I'm not sure I'd get Hobby Lobby brand again because the bottoms did fall out and I had to get hot glue and really glue those bottoms together, and it works now, but they're just kind of flimsy. So just so that you know, over here to the right, this is how I store my pattern, or not my pattern, but my cardstock pieces. These are the old Cropper Hopper storage, I don't know what they're called, not envelopes, but they used to come in a set. Now they're like a flimsier envelopes. They don't make these anymore. I'm so sad because I really love these. Over to the right, I have my pattern paper stored alphabetically in those. So if anybody knows of any that they want to sell, let me know because they don't make them anymore, not even the knockoff brands. Over here to the right, I've removed the magnetic strip that I had and I replaced it with my quilting items. I love to quilt, so this is a great place to store my mats. So over here in the top right cupboard, I have these containers. They're Iris card containers, and I have my swaps in these. I used to have them in a different system, didn't work too well, so I love these. When I'm done with all my swaps, I'm gonna definitely be using them for other items. So up at the top, I just have a whole bunch of different stuff to alter. So in the next cabinet over, I pretty much have stuff the same buckets holding the same stuff, as you can see over there. I have moved my ribbon containers inside the cabinets. I just like the way it looks. It's easy to go in, grab snip off a piece of ribbon, and away I go. I used to have them on shelves. And then back behind here, I still have the same containers that I got at the Container Store a long time ago. These containers in front that I'm moving around, I got those at a Joann's. You can pretty much get those anywhere. Moving on to the other side, I've rearranged a little bit of things, but I still have the containers for the letters and chipboard and stuff like that. Up at the top, my sprays and stuff. A change that I did make, I got these magazine holders at Walmart. They were less than $5 a piece. They fit in my upper cabinet. They hold different types of computer paper, like photo paper, regular paper, how-to books, user manuals that I use a lot in the scrap room. They're just easy to pull out when I need something. They organize things without stuff flopping all over the place. So I moved these white boxes into the cabinet here. The top one I still keep pictures in that I'm working on. The bottom one I've put a bunch of CDs and stuff that are for the computer. In the back, I have backup CDs with my pictures on them. Here you can see the thumbnails for my digital pictures. So over here on the left-hand side, you can see I use this for my sewing. I used to keep a bunch of fabrics in here and some of my sewing notions. I've taken all the fabrics out. I now just use it for notions and different sewing supplies. Down here on the bottom, you can see I use my thread here now. I used to have it on a wall rack. I've since placed it into these containers. I have different buckets with sewing notions up at the top. I use the Iris containers that store a lot of scrapbook items. I had a whole bunch I got on clearance or sales, so I go ahead and use this for sewing now, different sewing projects. So Down here in the left-hand drawer, I keep some of my sewing scissors, office supplies, not really anything scrapbook related in this drawer, tape, bill paying, crap, stuff like that. Down below in the bottom cabinet, I keep my sewing machines. I have 3 sewing machines. I also have a serger that I keep in here, as well as the different accessories that go with the sew machines and some batting, stuff like that I keep in here. So it's all sewing stuff. So over here in the drawer on the right, I still have all my ink supplies in here. It's a real mess. Nothing has changed at all since the last video. It's still a mess. I need to organize it better. I just haven't figured out a system yet. To the right are my Cricut cartridges still. I have a lot more than I did the last time. I got a whole bunch on sale for $9.99 at Michael's. I don't plan on getting any more since I do prefer the other cutter, but it's a good backup. Down below, I keep cutting supplies like the Cricuts, the Sizzlet dies, different stuff like that down here. It's still kind of a mess. The Colossal, just your basic cutting tools that I don't use often are down here. So up here in this drawer, I still keep all my pens and stuff like that. Nothing's really changed up here. The second drawer, I keep some flat items like my piercers, my punches, my cutting mats, different stuff like that in this drawer. So in the next drawer down, I still keep my adhesives in this drawer. To the right, I have different stamping acrylic blocks, my stamping catalog. In the bottom drawer, I keep my old Sizzix dies. I don't use them that often, and if I do use them, I now use them in my Cuttlebug. To the right, I use these dies more often. These are metal dies. I purchased an art bin fairly recently from Joann's, and it's got magnetic holders that it keeps these dies in them. It's really nice. I really like how it keeps things, and it looks like it'll hold a lot. So to the back, I have my embossing folders, and I have a catalog here I made of the different embossing folders. So over here to the right in this drawer, I still keep paper items. I have different folders that are organized. I have one that has sketches. I have one with tutorials. I have different ideas that I found. I keep that kind of stuff in this drawer. In this drawer, I still keep the small tools in it, such as the embosser, the labeler, different small tools like that. So one major thing that I did a lot of major change here in the cabinet down below. I took out some of the old containers. I moved this bottom one to the front so that the drawers are easy to slide out. I don't have to reach back for them. They still have the same items in them, lumpies, flats, things like that, but they're just so much easier to pull out and use. Up at the top, I have the iris containers, and I did a major purge of my pattern paper scraps. I had 2 of these overflowing. I was going to need a third, and I thought, you know what, enough's enough. I had papers from way back from 1996, and let's face it, a lot of them were ugly or just paper I would never use again. So I just did a major overhaul. I managed to get all my paper scraps into one of these buckets with room to grow. So that really felt good. I still have my vacation of 2010 in the bottom one. I was starting that last time I did a video. Down here in the next one, I've put my foam stamps into. I don't plan on getting any more foam stamps. Over here to the right, I've used the Cropper Hopper vertical storage that I had used for cardstock. I'm now using it for my different theme packets. I purchased these clear envelopes at Michael's. They have the snaps on them, and they're inexpensive. And so for each one, I put a different theme into. I throw in embellishments, pictures, anything I think might go with that theme. So there's different things like birthdays and weddings, Christmas, Thanksgiving, autumn, things like that. On the right-hand side, I have a list of all the different themes that I do have. Just makes it a lot easier. I can just pull these out, grab a packet, place things in them as I need to, and just work on them. I had them before, but previously they were in 2-gallon size baggies, and they were just floppy, and it really is a lot more organized this way in these envelopes. As you can see there, I have a list of the different theme inventories. It's hard to see, but I also have less often used items behind the containers and on top. So over here on the island, I still have the same MDF top that I had before. I do plan on stripping it and repainting it with the good quality spray paint. Before I tried spray painting it, it didn't work. I had to use the roller. Found out it's because I was using the super cheap spray paint and getting frustrated. A good quality, a little bit more expensive spray paint I found will go a lot further and work a lot better. So that's going to be a plan in the future, just to get this in better shape. Over here, I still have my Caterpillar. I did a review on it and I still love it. I was among the first shipment of Caterpillars that went out, and since then they've made some changes. I've heard that they're great changes that they've made, so check it out. So down here on the side of the island, you can see this is where I moved my fabric to from the cabinet it used to be in. It's much more organized. I have it organized by color. You can see that I now store the fabric vertically. It is so much easier to pull out than it was when it was all stacked horizontally on the shelves. I got these holders from polarnotions.com. They are awesome. They're kind of a flexible plastic and they really keep the fabric sorted really nicely. They're easy to fold. There's instructions on the site. They're just a great, simple product. So I recommend if you're a sewer, quilter, to go there. They have them in different sizes. As you can see, here's a smaller size, and they really hold a lot of fabric. Down below the fabrics, I still have my stamp storage and CD cases. This is all the same as the last video that I made. I've added to some. You can see it in that video. I apologize for the dark video recording here. We're going to move around here to the other side of the island. This is where I still store my digital pictures on CDs. I have everything backed up in the cabinets. These are all labeled according to date. They're easy to get to. Pop into the computer, print out what I need. I have that thumbnail list that I showed you earlier in the cabinet. We're going to swing around now to the other side of the room. Over here on the right, these are not supposed to be in this room. These are cubicles I got at Target. I have them in the closet that's right across from my scrapbook room. I didn't like them. They're falling apart. They're not really large enough. So I got some more shelving at IKEA. I took these out. I'm probably going to put them in my master closet. I just haven't yet. So here they are sitting, waiting for me to do something with them. So that's why they're here. So we'll talk about these shelves now. If you remember from my last video, I had some homemade shelves and I have since replaced those with these IKEA Expedite shelves. My closest IKEA is over 3 hours away and I finally was able to go to IKEA a couple, 2.5 years ago or so. I picked this up and I love it. I got the 8 cube one, and then on the top is a smaller one that we installed as well. These, if you're thinking about getting these for your albums to shelve, I highly recommend them. So as you can see, from last time I had put the fabric on some of these albums that I didn't like or that didn't match my other albums. I quit, it took up too much fabric, didn't really like them. I have now since started buying the American Craft albums in the red color, the cardinal red. You can see at the top that I have a bunch that are brand new. I pick them up at Michael's whenever they're 40 or 50% off here and there. And you can see like most of them are the Recollections brands. They're the same thing as the American Crafts. Some of the colors are a bit off, as with any dye lot. You buy them in different dye lots. Sometimes they're just off, but that doesn't bother me. For the most part, they all match. So I'll keep picking them up and hopefully they'll keep making them. So over here on the right, I have some floating shelves that I got at IKEA. I kind of use them as some embellishments for the wall. I keep different stuff on them, like my Mickey Mouse, my camera, different stuff. Just kind of gives an interesting look to the wall. Over here, I just got a wall hanging that was on clearance at Hobby Lobby just to kind of fill in the space. So over here is my ceiling fan, the ceiling fan that I was going to change. It was going to be one of the first things I did with the room. Here you can see it's still here. I really don't like it. I just haven't picked anything up yet. I plan on getting some drop-down pendants. The only bad thing is that I live in South Texas where it's over 100 degrees for at least 6 months out of the year. So it really helps with the fan. However, it does blow all my papers and stuff around. You may remember from before that I had a bunch of Primas and dimensional flowers in jars on top of my cabinet. The change I've made with those is I took them off the cardboard temporary shelving. I made permanent wooden shelving and now they're a lot more stable up on top of the cabinets. I really like using the Primas as part of my decorations for the room. They're a lot of fun. One thing I forgot to talk about earlier, if you noticed on my shelves here on top of the bottom shelving, I have a bunch of these little doodads. I was in a name your purse swap, and in fact I have a purse that I made for somebody in one of my previous videos. Well, these are some items that I got from the ladies that had purses. I have two different purses here, two different ladies that did the embellishings, and I just think that they really turned out cute, and I had to display them in my room. So here's some of the beautiful items that were made, as you can see. And again, I'm using them as part of my decorations for the room. Well, this finally concludes my update to my scrapbook room. Hopefully I'll do an update that's not so quite far in between. I hope you've enjoyed watching if you've watched this far. Thank you.